It is the beginning of the month. It is hot and humid. Wasn't I saying last week it was cold and windy and muggy? And that's Texas weather for you guys. So it's like 70 degrees. I think it's like 100% humidity today. And it's just the beginning of February. So we're really getting this month off to a good start, guys. But either way, today is going to be another busy day here. We have a 2-system Amana S-Series system heat pump that we're going to be installing for one of our customers in the McKinney area. So excited for that. But other than that, guys, it is morning, early morning. We got the gas. Where's he at? There you go. We got the gas tankers. You know how they get here pretty early in the morning. So just going to enjoy my coffee, kind of decompress and kind of get the day started, prep my mind for the rest of the days. I know the guys are on the way to the shop right now to kind of get everything ready to go. So thank you guys for, like always, tuning in, watching and liking, subscribing to this channel, and let's get some work in today. Okay guys, you know the drill. So everything's been staged, ready to go for the installers to pick it up. We got the 2 S-Series systems. Those are heat pumps. And then we got the Mr. Beast duct cleaning machine here. Here are those smart S thermostats. One thing about the Amana S-Series, you guys know this already, but these units are equipped with the Amana cloud service. Now you're asking yourself, hey, Gail, what is the Amana cloud service? All valid questions, by the way. The Amana Cloud Service is a system that the Amana S and the Daikin Fit systems use for us customers and for the contractors. It is a way for us to monitor the performance of the system, the runtime. We're actually able to see alerts. We're actually to see amp draws, pretty much everything that we could possibly ever see on site. We can see this remotely. Now the benefits of that is once a customer is opted in for the cloud services with the Amana S-Series, us here at the shop, at the office, if there's ever any alert, if there's ever any issues, if there's just, you know, let's say that you're the customer and you notice that your system is just not performing, let's say at like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You're like at 2 o'clock in the morning, this thing made a weird noise or it sounded different, something was just off. Well, we will probably know that because we will get the alert. But even if it wasn't an issue and you call up to the office, we got Isaac just arriving here in the morning. Even if you call up to the office and you say, hey, the system wasn't working, something happened at 2 a.m. in the morning, we can actually log into the chart. We can go to 2 o'clock in the morning, right to the actual second, and we can see exactly how the system was running, how it was performing, if it did throw an alert. And that's huge because it takes away the guesswork. It takes away the, oh man, I'm going out there and spending, you know, 2 hours to try to find out what's wrong with these systems. Now these units are built so good from the factory that, you know, thank God we just haven't had any major issues with them. You know, now this is also a mechanical item, right? So I mean, it's not perfect, and there are little things that come up in, you know, during the lifespan of these units, but having a software or having something like the cloud service, man, it puts peace of mind, not only for us, you know, in the field, but you as the consumer, because you know that your system, no matter what, we will always know exactly what to do to fix it. So one of the great things again is that it comes with the cloud service, and that's with every Amana S-Series system here. Good morning, sir. Good. All right. Dude, it looks like you need some coffee, some Red Bull, something, man. What do you think about this weather, by the way, man?
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah, it's not hot, it's not cold.
That's just perfect, man.
I think so. I wish we had summers like this. Just a little hotter. Just a little hotter, right?
Yeah.
Just enough to get us out there. Right?
Hey, you know, you're becoming YouTube famous, by the way. Number one. But number two, people are commenting about your van, man, and they want you to do a van tour one day. Yeah.
Well, there's not much.
You gotta get. Do you know your van already?
Kinda.
All right.
Yeah, every day I get to know something about it. So, you know, I've never driven one of these Dodge Pro Masters, but I'm starting to like it.
Nice. All right, now you guys know this. We install the Amana S series. Now the second in line, if they're not gonna go with the Amana S series, is the Samsung Hilux. Now the Samsung Hilux is another great side discharge heat pump unit. It's dual fuel, right? So if you have a gas furnace, we can make it a dual fuel option for our customers. It's 17.5 SEER2, very efficient, cold climate rated heat pump. And it's very versatile too. So let's say you have an indoor equipment and it has a TXV. Maybe you have a newer furnace. Maybe you already have a variable speed. But let's just say that your outdoor condenser unit was 14 SEER, 15 SEER. And you just wanted to get a more efficient unit. Maybe you wanted to get a heat pump, you know, and experience what that's all about. The Samsung Hilux really checks that box out for our customers. So it's a second lineup. That's why we keep it stocked here at our warehouse, because it's a very popular option. Now, all of these things, all of these equipments, no matter how good they're built, no matter how, you know, great their install, occasionally you will have issues with them. Now, one of the calls that we have today has nothing to do with the actual equipment itself, but what it does have to do with, I'm just reaching over the top here on the shelf, is the brains, the control board. We have tons of these control boards. This is what allows that Samsung Hilux to operate. Here's the model number of that. So all this is right here is a control board that takes the outdoor unit. Now the outdoor unit is a communication system, so it uses two wires, F1, F2, and those two wires send data to this control board, and that control board now takes the thermostat, takes the indoor equipment, mashes it all together, and it spits out a variable speed high efficient unit, right? So it takes all of that and makes it work. Now yesterday we ran into our first issues with this control board. Now I'll tell you the premise of what was happening. Our tech goes out, and by the way, yesterday the weather here in Texas is, like I mentioned earlier, it's up and down. One day we're super blizzard cold, the next day it's hot and humid, right? So yesterday was a hot and humid day. Hard to believe, but in the beginning of February, just hot and humid. So the customer turns it on, right? And nothing, no AC, right? And so he calls up and we're like, hey, no worries, we're gonna go out and take a look at it. Our tech goes out there, and I think it was Carter. Carter was the one diagnosing this unit yesterday. And sure enough, he gets there, turns on the system. Now, one thing I will tell you with the Samsung Hilux, you can install it with any thermostat that you like. You can go with a Honeywell T10. You can go with a one of these basic Pro 1 thermostats. Honestly, you can install it with anything. If you have a Nest, you can use a Nest. So it's again very versatile in its application. So we get there yesterday, he turns it on, the system comes on in heat mode, right? So the outdoor unit turns on the heat pump, reversing valve is engaged, indoor fan comes on, like it's working beautifully. When we switch it over to cooling, the outdoor unit won't come on, but the indoor unit turns on, right? The fan kicks on, just no cool air because the compressor outside is not coming on. So these units, again, even though they look complex and they can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you haven't had training on them, at the end of the day, they're very simple, right? There's two wires that go to the outdoor unit that are data. Then you have your normal thermostat and your normal indoor unit, low voltage wiring. That it's very easy. I mean, it's just like your basic air conditioning system, right? You have your yellow. If you have two stages, you're gonna have your Y1, Y2. You're gonna have your reversing valve. You're gonna have your fan. All that stuff is typical and normal, like a normal unit, right? So you check for 24 volts, make sure that the thermostat is calling for cooling. You check on your indoor portion of it, make sure that that is actually receiving the signal from the board. And all of that was checking out. 24 volts, calling for cooling, fan was kicking on, but again, the outdoor compressor was just not kicking on. So that leaves us to believe that either two things are happening. One, we have a data communication issue, right? Or we have a control issue. One of those two things. Now, if you're in the industry, by the way, you probably know this. Anytime that you get into a low voltage scenario, it is almost like quicksand. I mean, you get into a low voltage scenario and man, sometimes you just go down that rabbit hole and you start taking wires, you start doing this. So we have to take a pause, right? You got to step back and you got to call for a second pair of eye right away. The moment you feel, and now I'm really just talking to you techs out there in the industry, the moment you feel like, hey, I'm pretty stuck here, don't know where else to look at, that's the moment you have to tell yourself, I got to call somebody else so I can get a second pair of eye, a second pair of mind, and that usually will help find the solution or the problem what's going on. So thank God we have some of the best support here for all the brands, including the Samsung Hilux. We have a technical specialist that we have contacts with. We call, you know, they help us walk us through a lot of the issues where sometimes we just can't see it, right? But we did a really good job. Carter went out, he diagnosed it, found that the data wire, remember, so there's only two things that can happen here. The data wire going out to the outdoor unit, we ohmed it out. That checked out okay. And plus, let me tell you this, remember, the heat pump was working. So anytime that we would turn on the heat pump on the thermostat, the outdoor unit would come on. So we know that we were getting signal for at least the heating, right? But not for the cooling. We checked the thermostat, right? They check for how the thermostat was set up. Now, one thing as well for these thermostats, if you're gonna run it on heat pump, right? If you're gonna use the Hilux as a heat pump, you have to set your thermostats up in heat pump mode, and you also have to set the thermostats reversing valve over to B instead of O. So that's one thing with the Samsung Hilux. There's another brand out there, I believe it's Ream Rudd. If you use their heat pump systems and you're setting up your thermostats, you have to set the reversing valve to B, not to O. Same thing with these Samsung Hiluxes. So all that checked out okay, and so we had the data wire was correct, wasn't broken, ohmed out perfect. And then the next thing was the control board. So we're getting voltage from the thermostat sending the signal, we're getting voltage on the indoor portion sending the fan to come on. It's supposed to turn on the AC, just wasn't sending the signal back to the outdoor unit. And so through the process of elimination and diagnostics, we found that the control board for that Samsung Hilux needed to be replaced. So we're out there, the guys are out there this morning. They're going to be replacing this thing, and the great thing about it, it has warranties, you know, 10-year warranty across the board. So anything that's broken with these things, we're going to have the parts, we're going to have the availability to get it installed and get this system running as it should. It's a super high efficient unit, and our customers love it, you know, and it's just so blessed to have customers here. All of our customers, man, they're just so understanding. They're so patient, you know. Even yesterday, I mean, they didn't want us to really come out. They were like, no, we think it's something else. Like, no, but we have to be persistent. These systems really never have any hiccups, and when they do, we have to do what's right, make sure that these systems are performing in the way that we designed it and the way that we told the customer that they were. Made it to the job site. We're up here in the attic, and man, every time I get here, you guys are too fast. Huh? Too fast. But they already got one of the units removed right there, and one is working on the second one right here. So these are going to be heat pumps. These are air handlers, so they have a backup heat. Check out this coil. Guys, that's 18 years worth of life that we got of these units here. So they did really good, lived a very healthy life, and now it's just time to upgrade them and put the S series on here. So you guys know the drill. We do the hung. We gotta set the hung right. That's what holds these units in place, nice and level. They got the first one already installed. Here it is. Now the hung right kits, you know, they come with their own brackets here. They get bolted on to the rafters. That allows this system to stay nice and leveled. It also has a nice little sound foam, so it reduces the vibration. And if the system were to ever get unleveled, right, the guys can just come out here, adjust the level accordingly, and it's a future proof to ensure that the system stays nice and level and we reduce as much noise and vibration as possible. Let me show you the motor that we pulled out of here. You can see all that dust and dirt and grime and bacteria that grows over the years. You know, it's 20 years old, 18 years old, right? So it's lasted a very long time, and this stuff right here just happens over time. You know, filtrations can only catch so much. Over time, dust just continues to build up. So what we're going to do is, on top of replacing the systems here, we're going to be including the Aprilaire filtration system. That's going to really help capture a lot of the particulates that are in the air. And then on top of that, we're also going to do a duct cleaning and sanitation to ensure that we pretty much destroy all the bacteria, all the dust, everything that's in here before we make this unit hopefully last another 20 or plus more years. So here in the air handler, now we got the installers, we're putting our backup heat. So this is remember, it's a heat pump with an electric backup heat air handler. And this is the R32 variant, remember. So in this coil, there is a sensor that detects if the system ever has any kind of refrigerant leaks. This is the new R32 A2O refrigerants. We have to have something inside of these coils that detects if there's ever a refrigerant leak, and what that will do is it will shut down the unit outside. It'll turn on the blower motor inside, and it'll help dilute all that. Now, since this is also a smart system, the thermostat will tell you and will alert us, especially with the cloud services that come with this system, where the leak or if it has a leak, and that way whenever our technicians come out, we can see exactly where to look for and what to find. So very, very advanced systems here, and this is really across the board for any A2L type of refrigerants. Now remember, Daikin Amana went with the R32, and every other manufacturer here is going to go with 454B, which again, no matter which type of system, no matter which type of refrigerant you have, they will all come with these safety sensors built into them. All right, now one of the great things about these units is, depending on how you have it positioned, so either left or right, these coils are interswappable. So right now Juan is taking this coil here, gonna lift it up, turn it around, slide it down, and that's gonna allow us to then install this in the right direction. Now while I have it open, let me show you this unit here. So this is the sensor for the A2L refrigerant. This is what detects it, and it already comes pre-wired into the actual board itself. Now this unit is, remember, variable speed. And here is the EEV valve. It's the electronic expansion valve. This is what regulates the refrigerant as it's coming into the coil. This little device here senses how much it needs to open and close electronically, of course, and then it allows the refrigerant to flow through all the coil. This unit here, back in the day, 18 years ago, and even to today's standards, is still a very high efficient unit. These are two-stage equipment. That means that the compressor had 2 stages. Now with 2 stages, that means that whenever you turn on the heater or you turn on the AC, you'll get about 70% on the first stage of capacity, and then 100% when the demand is higher. And this was pretty much the top of the top efficient and technology that you could get about 18 or 20 years ago. Slowly but surely, more efficient regulations, more types of equipment started coming to the market, and inverters are now pretty much the norm, right? Anything from our mid-tier to our high efficient units, they will all come with inverter driven compressors, and that means that these systems are able to modulate the temperature literally to like half a degree inside of the house. And what that means is that yes, the systems will run a little bit longer, but the capacity, the humidity, and how it feels in the house when sized properly, when designed properly, you just cannot compete with that type of technology. So great that it lasted almost 20 years, 18 years out of the system here. So good stuff. Were we doing some maintenance on the duct machine?
Yeah, we just put a whole new bag on
Good bag, good.
And we're gonna make sure this is nice and clean.
Okay.
And then we're gonna clean in here.
Okay, by the way, that's not a drill. That's a cow back there.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Like a longhorn
Huh?
or something. Like
Yeah.
a longhorn,
Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna do that and then put it back together.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure
Awesome,
the
man.
customer has it.
Guys, Isaac, I'm gonna turn this over to you. By the way, you are very popular on YouTube.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
everybody's saying Isaac this, Isaac that. Isaac, you're so great. Well, you are doing a great job, man. So
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna go ahead and head on to the next one, man. We got a couple more projects that we gotta get lined up for tomorrow and for this week. Okay, so you'll be in control here.
All right.
Next time we see these units here, they're gonna be installed and running, and
Correct.
I'm gonna turn this over to you. Okay.
All right, good morning, Prime family. We made it. So we are doing, how I said, an air handler heat pump here. We're all new copper line set, and at the same time, making sure everything comes out great as always. But look at this view today. It's a whole different day out here in the country. Alright guys, so this is how the installation's coming along. We got a nice return plenum here with our brand new copper lines. Look at that. New hung right, new drain pans. Let's see if I can squeeze on by here. April layer return. Got both disconnects here. So everything's coming out really great. The guys are working hard trying to get this 2-system install done. And then we're still gonna go ahead and take care of that duct cleaning. I have the UV bulbs that we're gonna go ahead and install here in a little bit. Once the systems are probably in a vacuum, we'll go ahead and take care of that for them. Okay, so when we took these old units out, we noticed a lot of organic growth, and that's typically what happens in air handlers, just because of the moisture and because of the humidity that stays in the evaporator coil. So since this customer is going ahead and getting all brand new systems, new copper, everything, then we're gonna go ahead and take care of them with some UVC bulbs that will go ahead and prevent that from growing. He'll just have to maintain the bulbs once in a while when they go ahead and either die out or start losing strength. So we're also taking care of them with the duct cleaning. The guys are gonna go ahead and get started here when I get back. So I have to come pick up here at this supply house. So we're on our way back, and we'll show you on a video how it's installed and how it illuminates the whole air handler cabinet to prevent that growth from happening in the evaporator coil or anything, even on the wiring. Alright guys, so we went ahead and installed our UV bulb. It's going to be protecting the evaporator coil and the blower as well. We ran the cable here. We have our ballast, and now we are gonna tap into 24 volts. So the system still doesn't have power currently, but once it does, we'll go ahead and see it illuminate. The cool thing about this is they send us this little clear access point that we're gonna drill on the door. It's gonna go here, and it's gonna give us the opportunity to allow and see if that UV bulb is still operating or not. The units are coming out great so far. Both systems have already been on a vacuum, pressure tested, and the guys are just finishing up the wiring. So far it's been real good. The house has allowed itself to be a great install and hasn't really pushed us back too much. So far for a 2-system install, we're running pretty great. We have the other guys that are going ahead and trying to wrap up on that duct work, well, the duct cleaning. We still need to go ahead and sanitize the plenums and the whole duct work, so stay tuned for that. But we're doing great pace right now. Alright guys, so I'm here with the finished product, and as you can tell, we have this loop right here, and I wanted to share a little bit about that. So that is what we call an inverter loop. An inverter loop is installed in an air conditioning system with a variable speed compressor. That is very crucial, and here are several reasons of why we go ahead and do it. So we go ahead and do it because it helps with the oil return management. And a variable speed compressor, since it operates at different capacities, meaning refrigerant flow can be much lower than traditional fixed speed systems. The inverter loop helps maintain adequate velocity to return oil to the compressor, preventing oil poop, like puddling in the evaporator and suction line. The second reason I wanted to say is refrigerant flow stability. In low speed operation, refrigerant velocity decreases, which can lead to uneven distribution and potential liquid sludging. And we all know liquid sludging is a no-no, especially for compressors and inverter systems overall. An inverter loop helps regulate flow, ensuring proper distribution and preventing compressor damage. So not only are we going to help the refrigerant flow and the oil, so what does that mean? The system will also last a lot longer, so longevity. By maintaining proper lubrication and refrigerant flow, the inverter loop extends the life of the compressor and other components, reducing wear and tear. Oh man, let me see. Energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is also a crucial part as to why we go ahead and do these S-series. So with the inverter loop, we're able to guarantee that it modulates based on demand, and it enhances proper performance on all speeds. And the last two that I can think of are preventing liquid migration. That means when the refrigerant remains in gaseous state before entering the compressor, reducing the risk of damage. So we want to go ahead, and during low load conditions, liquid refrigerant can accumulate in the suction line. So we want to go ahead and make sure that it's all gas. Maintaining performance in cold conditions. Since these systems are what we call cold climate performance, it will prevent the system from not being so efficient, but instead it will go ahead and keep your house at a sustainable temperature depending the heat load or the cold load we have outside. So to conclude, I want to go ahead and say that proper installation and design of the inverter loop are essential to ensure the system operates as is intended, maximum efficiency, reliability, and performance. So this is the finished product. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys just a little bit more of what we did here, but the guys did a really great job. The homeowner, Mr. Jim and Jane, we're going to go ahead and also get a little bit of words from them and see what their experience was, what they think so far. But let me show you guys what it looks like outside. Okay, All right, guys, so this is the finished product here. 2 brand new S-Series heat pumps outside. Since this equipment, we did need to run all new copper lines. One of the compressors had a brownout and the other system was headed the same way. So when we did recover the refrigerant, we noticed that the system was really stinky and really acidic. So we went ahead and wanted to go ahead and give them a fresh start. But look at this, all nice and leveled, anchored as always. Everything is all taken care of, nice and sealed. We always put our surge protectors. The units have been running for a couple minutes, so as you can tell, one of them is about to kick on here in a little bit. Mr. Jim Lillis, this is Isaac with Prime, and I just wanted to go ahead and ask you 3 questions. First is, what made you go ahead and choose Prime?
Well, we built our home in 2006. We actually moved in it Christmas Eve 2006. A good friend of mine had been with Prime. I contacted him. I'd got a bid on the air conditioning system. Our house is about 2,300 square foot. And I got a bid from a builder, and anyway, I contacted a good friend of mine who at the time was with Prime and asked him to do a bid for us on our home, and it came in about half the price of what my builder was had got quoted. So anyway, that was kind of a no-brainer, and at the time, George and the crew came and did the installation, and we used Train equipment back then, and anyway, and we got good service out of it, but then we ran into an issue here the other day, and so we got in the market now for another unit, another system. And again, I contacted George this time, and he submitted me some quotes and kind of went from there.
All right, perfect. Well, we appreciate you choosing us as your AC and heat provider. So I wanted to ask you a second question. I know you had systems from 18 years old, probably more. I think they were 2005, so we're talking about 20 years old. But what made you go ahead and be interested in the S-Series?
Well, I knew there was going to be a Freon change this year, a new style, and that was one of the things. I didn't want to get roped back into having to use one of the old style Freons if we did need to have service and add Freon. So I kind of like the idea of having a new updated type system. So George explained some of the benefits of the newer systems, and I decided, yeah, we'll do that. And we're getting to the point where we're not going to be wanting to put in new air conditioning and heating systems ever.
No.
20 years. And I don't even know if I'll be around in 20 years. So anyway, I was excited. He recommended the unit that we went with, and I think we're going to get real good service out of it. I'm excited about it.
All right, Mr. Jim, well, we appreciate that. Last question is, I know you've been with us for such a long time, but I wanted to make sure, out of the whole experience, what is it that you like the most, and what do you expect from Prime?
Well, I like, I can depend on them. I actually recommended to my son, who lives in Colleyville, you guys, and y'all come out and serviced his units when it needed to be, and I don't know, I just had good experience in the past when we put in this system in his house when it was built, and I entrusted in George and the crew to give us the same service as they have in the past. So, and today you guys showed up bright and early and put in the system up in the attic and outside, and got it all cleaned up, and everything looks great. So anyway, I'm happy with the service that Prime offers.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jim, for your time. As always, thank you for choosing us and giving us the opportunity to go ahead and make you happy. All right. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
love.